welcome to Chairman of the Board. Today I'm going to be reviewing Splendor. Now this is a 2 to 4 player game where players assume the role of leaders of a merchant guild, competing for prestige points. If that doesn't sound like an ambiguous theme, then I don't know what does, but theme is really not what Splendor is all about. A game of Splendor is going to look something like this. As you can see, we have this variety of cards broken into 3 rows. We've got level 1 cards, level 2 cards, and level 3 cards. We also have a selection of these noble tiles, which provide bonuses later in the game. And we also have this assortment of coloured chips. Now, these are going to be the currency in which you buy these development cards. Now, development cards look something like this. As you can see here, we've got these 2 figures here which represent how much this card costs to buy. So this card will cost 5 red chips and 3 black chips. This symbol here represents the prestige points you would get if you do buy this card. So this offers 2 prestige points, and just so you know, to win the game you have to have 15 prestige points. Now, development cards look something like this. And finally, this symbol here means that if I chose to buy this development card, I would get a 1 white chip discount on all future purchases. So for example, if I chose to purchase this by paying the 5 red and 3 black, I would pick this up, put it in front of me, and that means then in future turns, if I wanted to buy this card for example, I would not have to pay that white fee. I would only have to pay the 1 green, 1 red and 1 black fee. Now, in each player's turns, players can choose one of 4 available actions. The first being taking 3 different tokens off 3 separate piles. So for example here, I can choose a white, a black and a red and add it to my reserve. The second available action is to take 2 tokens of the same colour. So for example, I could take 2 red. But you can only take this action if there are at least 4 tokens in that pile. The third available action is to buy a development card. So for example here, I've got 3 white tokens, I've got 1 blue token and 1 black token. So I could spend them, add them back to the token reserve and take this development card. And that means I add it in front of me for the rest of the game, and on all future purchases I would get a 1 white token discount. Any purchased development card would then be replenished with this card stack here of the same value. The final available action is to reserve a card, and to do this you simply take a card that you want and put it to one side. That means that any other player can no longer buy this card. And also, if you reserve a card, you actually pick up one of these yellow chips which represent any of these 5 other colours. So these are very versatile and useful in future turns. Another way to score prestige points is to be visited by one of these nobles. Now, how these work is based on the discounts you have. So for example, if I had 3 black discounts, 3 red discounts and 3 white discounts, at the end of my turn this guy would come and visit me and provide 3 extra prestige points. Okay, so before I even start with Splendor's gameplay, I have to talk about the amazing component quality of this game, particularly in relation to these poker chips. These are absolutely top quality and just amazing to handle. They're really weighty, and the designer should really be credited with providing such an amazing component. Gameplay-wise, Splendor really excels due to its simple and easy to learn rules. It also really flourishes in respect that the players' turns actually go by very quickly, meaning there's not much opportunity for players to lose their engagement with the game. I love that players are forced to make very difficult decisions during this game, like should I pool up all my tokens in order to make big one-off purchases and accumulate prestige points that way? Or should I make lots of small purchases in order to accumulate discounts so I can buy more development cards that way? It's just great that there are different strategies players can take to win this game. The fact that players can only take one of those 4 actions each turn really adds a lot of excitement to this game, and it also creates this really addictive vibe to the game because you're always left wanting to do more. And also in relation to its interaction, the fact that the cards that you're looking at can be snapped up at any moment by the other players, it just creates this really cool tension during the game. In my experience, Splendor has never outstayed its welcome. It plays out very fast, the turns go very fast, and it has this very kind of therapeutic feel to it. I just really enjoy engaging with this game. Now, I do think Splendor works a lot better at 3 or 4 players, because the interaction really rises and the scarcity of the tokens really becomes more apparent, meaning that those purchases are a lot more carefully thought and you get less opportunity to make mistakes. And if you're a big fan of theme in a game, then you're really not going to get much with Splendor. This game really doesn't have any theme at all, to be honest, and it's really not what this game is about. To be honest, I don't really understand what the whole Merchant Guilds thing is all about. It doesn't really make sense to me at all. But that doesn't take anything away from the gameplay. The gameplay itself is very, very good, but you're not going to be feeling like immersed in the actual theme of the game. Personally, I've also found that this game can end very abruptly, and that is because it's actually very, very difficult to monitor the progress of the other players. One moment you can think you're doing really well, but the player next to you has already done, he's already got his 15 prestige points. Because there's so much going on at all times, it's very, very hard to monitor the progress of other players. I've also experienced brief kind of occurrences of analysis paralysis, simply because there are so many different options for players at all times. Obviously this can kind of cause a bit of a halt in the game, but this has been very scarce, but when it does happen it can be pretty significant. So that's something to maybe to note. Overall, I'm a really big fan of Splendor. I think it serves as a perfect gateway game for players of all ages and skill levels. Anyone can kind of enjoy this game, and I think it's quite easy to understand. Not much theme here, but I think in this instance it doesn't really matter, and that's it's quite strange for me to say that because I'm a big fan of theme in board games. But Splendor really does engage players. It's so simple to understand. And I think families and all kind of different players can get a lot from this game. Over the years, Splendor has received a lot of praise, and I have to agree with that praise because I've never really had an incident when I don't enjoy playing this game. So that's it for the show. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for the criteria breakdown of Splendor, and I'll see the rest of you down the road. Thanks a lot.